Good morning. It's early Sunday morning, around 6, and I'm out doing morning chores, but I thought we could take a quick break and go out and take a look through the garden. So in front of me are two boxes, and in the back of the boxes are sugar peas. This is my second crop of sugar peas. I planted it a little bit later than my first crop, and I am overrun with sugar peas. We've been eating them for breakfast, lunch, and supper. And in the front of that box, cucumbers. And we have the most wonderful crop of cucumbers this year. I think there's one in here. Yep, there we go, just waiting to be picked. In the second box on the other side, we have lettuce and dill, and then more greens on the other side of the dill. And I'll be picking those in the next day or two because once the weather gets hot, lettuce turns bitter. So we need to eat that up right away. Then we have kale. Up here we have celery. That bare space is where the kohlrabi was. There's one little kohlrabi left. We have Brussels sprouts. And then I have some hollyhocks planted just for pretty. They haven't started to bloom yet. Behind that, we've got tomatoes. And I have tomatoes hanging on the vine, ready to ripen. So I've had some questions about pruning your tomatoes. And as you can see, all of my tomato plants are pruned to look more like trees. And that's because I cut off as many of the side shoots as I can. And I cut off leaves that hang down. I just sort of hack away at these tomatoes because they grow like weeds. Once they're established, you can really prune the heck out of them. I like to keep a lot of airspace around the base of my tomatoes to keep them from getting any kind of mildew or rot, and it also allows the sun to get in to ripen those tomatoes that are on the vine. So I have 3 boxes of tomatoes like that, another one behind, one over here across the aisle. And then this box here is in need of some weeding, but it has a couple of pumpkin plants in. Those will be pie pumpkins. And then next to them are my little cabbage plants. Tomatoes. On either side of the aisle, I have a small box of zinnias planted for bringing in. Behind the zinnias are onions and beets. Up here we have squash and lovely little patty pan squash. Let me show you real quick. I love these little colorful, you see that little squash in there? There's a whole bunch of them. I've harvested a whole lot and I need to harvest more. Then there's some winter squash. Up here behind there we've got onions and sugar peas. Across the aisle, a box of sweet potatoes. Over here, some herbs. And the boxes in the back have eggplant. You can hear the runner ducks. They're out patrolling for bugs. These are red potatoes. My first lettuce box is just finished. And on the other side of that box are leeks. Then I've got sweet peppers. And hot peppers. Yellow squash. Yellow crooked neck squash. And back behind that, zucchini. A little bit of cilantro growing up in between. One of the boxes down below that I missed has rhubarb, a cherry tomato, and on the other end it has basil and more cilantro. I do like to grow basil, cilantro, and dill for cooking purposes. And then the last box up here at the very tippy top is my flower box. It has lots of zinnias planted on either side. Zinnias across the back. In front of those were snapdragons, and then in front of the snapdragons are nasturtium. And nasturtium aren't only just for show, they're also edible. The leaves can be put in salads. They taste a little peppery. The flowers can be put in salads or on a plate as garnish. So basically the whole plant is edible, and it's quite lovely. Sammy says it smells good too. And then my little tea party area with some perennials. And it's been great having a playhouse here in the garden. The kids can play while I garden. It's a nice enclosed area that's totally safe for them. And it looks cute too. A little bit of asparagus popped up in this box. I hadn't planned on that, but when we rebuilt the garden, apparently there were some asparagus roots in some of the dirt that got transferred into this box. So that's okay, we just leave that one end for asparagus. It'll continue to grow and spread, and we'll get more and more asparagus out of that box. But the big asparagus plot is down the side of the garden here. And we get tons of asparagus out of this. It's probably 30 feet long. So it's a good crop of asparagus. And down below the asparagus are the berries. Now the first two small bushes you see are called loganberries. And from what I was told when I purchased them, they're a cross between a blackberry and a raspberry. They have not yet fruited, so they're late like a blackberry would be. And then beyond them are the red raspberries. And we have been pulling red raspberries off of these vines for days now. Big, luscious red raspberries. Unfortunately, the Japanese beetles also like the red raspberry plants. As you can see, there's a few right there on the plant. So I've had to put some traps out over in the lawn, and those traps are filling up. You know, there's always the big debate as to whether you should put Japanese beetle traps up or not, because of the potential for them actually attracting Japanese beetles, but I don't know. I put them up once I see Japanese beetles, hoping that at least those that are in the bag won't be on my plants.
This weekend we added this little garden. Jack dug it and did all the stone work, and I added the plants and the mushrooms. In the center, there's a hole dug, and that's going to be where a tree will be planted. And it's just a little memorial garden.